Good afternoon, everyone. It's Hanifa Menon from hearthealthbrainhealth.com, encouraging healthy grieving and mindful actions. Today, my contemplative time has been very much about the link between the heart and the brain. And of course, you know that my website is Heart Health Brain Health. And so there is a connection. There's a reason for this. And very few people have ever asked me about this, but I would like to share it with you. And there was actually one person that was very aware of why this might have been so. And he had actually studied similar information as to what I study today. And it's so nice that one person at least did kind of put it together, and I'm so happy. And I believe that probably there's other people out there that might know this understanding too, or this connection too. But today I thought I would maybe help educate the general viewers for this video so that you might understand this link. And this is not limited to naturopathic knowledge, by the way, or psychology knowledge or spiritual knowledge, but actually combines all of them. So I thought I'd start with this quotation by Alfred Adler. And the quotation says, "Follow your heart, but take your brain with you." Follow your heart, but take your brain with you. Now, this sounds so normal, right? So do you know if we're in love or really, heartfelt doing whatever we're doing, we can really forget about some conscious awareness that's coming through the brain, through our intellect, right? So we can get very lost in regular things that might need to be done, or basic ideas that we might think, oh, this would be normal to look at. And somehow the brain doesn't really matter in those times, right? So in those times, the heart is leading. And so following your heart is definitely very useful, but take your brain with you. So this is an interesting balance to constantly play, right? In Chinese medicine, the heart and brain health are very closely connected. So the health of the brain, so if there's mental restlessness or there's anxiety, this contributes to the actual heart health. And if the heart health is not good, then this contributes to actual peace or lack of peace in the mind. So in this, it's a very useful awareness. And of course, since I used to teach Chinese medicine or Asian medicine, I know this connection and I loved it, and I love being able to share it. Now, of course, I know all sorts of things can make the mind restless, right? So it can be relationship changes, job changes, COVID. It could be health changes. It could be home changes. It could be changes. Changes often produce just a little bit of unease in most minds. And then this contributes to things like anxiety, or things like stress, as we might call it, or palpitations, or sleepless nights. Even sleep is related to heart and brain health in Chinese medicine. Now, this is also the connection that is found when you look deep into ancient scripture. It's the same idea, except we're also looking at different concepts in this. When we look at the soul versus the mind, or we say the soul versus the human, and if we think of the soul level, soul is very much connected to the heart. It's our heartfelt desires, it's our heartfelt wishes, it's our heartfelt efforts that we can put into things, right? Especially when it's stemming from a space of love. So you might love your work and it's a heartfelt effort that you put into it. You might love your family. There's a heartfelt effort in it. And that comes from the space beyond the mind, which is related to the soul. And this, again, as you can see, you almost have to bypass the mind to get to that space of the soul. And that's what we try to do in meditation. And it's such a beautiful space to work from. But of course, the unsteadiness comes from the idea that we're usually led by our mind, right? So this is like a logical thing to do. This is a practical thing to do. This is based on all of the memories I have, all of the learning I have, all of the knowledge I have. So I use my mind. And yet there's some things that just pull at our heartstrings, and we really go with that. And that's a beautiful space to come from, because again, it's about the heartfelt desires, and then to remember to take the brain with you, right? So this is something that I'd love to bring your attention to. There was a quotation by Swami Vivekananda that I wanted to share with you. And it says, "In a conflict between the heart and the brain, follow your heart." In a conflict between the heart and the brain, follow your heart. And this is so interesting, right? So don't we feel super smart when we've kind of figured out a person, right? We think that I know this, like I've seen people like this. I know we have all those judgments and maybe some intellectual awareness of this is not the type of person I would want to be around, or this person is a hurtful person, and we can do this with colleagues. We can do this towards bosses and supervisors. We can do this with friendships. We can do this in terms of relationships. And the brain will have all of that acquired information, which it makes its judgments from. And then it keeps us from doing things maybe full-heartedly, right? So it's again that awareness that, wow, you know what? Something doesn't feel good for my heart when this person speaks to me this way is one thing. Something about them is not good is the mind, right? Something about understanding that something doesn't feel good requires some discussion, right? And hopefully it's a polite discussion. It's not from a reaction. It's a response to a situation, right? So this takes a bit of training. And for those of you who are working with brain retraining with me or meditation, I love the fact that you have taken this huge step, because to go beyond our minds is not something that most minds are really comfortable with doing. And it is a constant battle. It is a constant battle as far as I'm concerned. I think until enlightenment, true, full enlightenment, people will oscillate back and forth. Like sometimes they go with their heart, sometimes they go with their mind. And in those situations, we feel really good in some spaces and really not so good in other spaces. And that not so good could come out as anger, could come out as frustration, could come out as sadness. It comes out with some unease, right? So this is a very important awareness. Yet when we can move into that space that's purely soul, which in Vedanta or ancient Vedic scripture is known as Atman, that's the soul space. And that's the space that we understand that all of us are exactly the same. We're all the same. We have different mannerisms, we have different learning, we have different behaviors, but that love space is exactly the same. And to be able to connect with that love space with each other is what helps ourselves and the world around us. And this is what I'd love for you to try to practice today, and not only today, but maybe the rest of your life. So it's interesting that I came across this great image, and I've got to share this with you. So let me see if I can get this image. I came across this picture of a brain and a heart, which is fantastic. And let me put it the right way up here. So there's a picture of brain, and this is, of course, what I'll leave you with in this video. The picture says, this is your brain. Inside are the things worth living by. This is your brain. Inside are the things worth living by. And then there's a picture of the heart, and it says, this is your heart. Inside are the things worth dying for. I love that. So again, this is your heart. Inside are the things worth dying for. And the things that are heartfelt for you are the things that you know will inspire your actions. Like, they are the things worth dying for. It might be the people that are closest to you. It might be the world, in fact. It might be a pet, and it might be your own wishes and desires for your life. And that's the journey of the soul. I hope that for 5 minutes after this video, you think about the things that are inside the mind, which is, it's a conscience. There's a conscious right and not right. This is better, this is not better. That's a conscience. And it's also the logical reasoning, right? That's the things worth living for. And inside the heart are the things worth dying for. And I hope that you might make a list of maybe 2 or 3 things for each one. What are the things that you find are worth living for? And what are the things that are worth dying for? I wish you a fantastic day ahead, and I hope you remember, transform your mind and transform your life. Have a great day, everyone.